Your biggest fight is not with the world. It is not with your boss. It is not with the economy. It is not with the people who doubted you. Your biggest fight, the one you have been losing every single day without even realizing it, is with the 3 pounds of tissue sitting between your ears. Every morning when you hit snooze and say just 5 more minutes. Every time you open your phone instead of opening your work. Every time you know exactly what you should be doing and you do the opposite anyway. That is not laziness. That is your mind winning and you losing. And here's the part that should scare you. Most people do not fail because they lack talent. Most people do not fail because they lack opportunity. They fail because they lack control. Control over their thoughts, control over their emotions, control over their actions. And that is the real game, mental discipline, because the day you learn to control your mind, the world stops being able to control you. But let me ask you something uncomfortable. Are you the master of your mind right now? Or are you still its slave? If you have been following this channel, you have already built the architecture. Hill gave you the 13 laws. Murphy gave you the subconscious engine. Byrne gave you visualization. Marcus Aurelius gave you the Stoic foundation. Green gave you the power dynamics. But none of it works if you cannot make yourself do the thing you know you should do on the day you least feel like doing it. That is what today's episode is about, not motivation. Motivation is a feeling. It comes and goes like weather. This is about the mechanical skill of making your mind obey you, even when it does not want to. Stay until the end, because the last section contains a daily system that makes discipline automatic, not through willpower, through design. Let me start with a question. If you could master one single skill, just one, that would make every other goal in your life achievable, what would it be? Money? No. Talent? No. Luck? Definitely not. The answer is mental discipline. The ability to do what needs to be done, regardless of how you feel about it. And here is where most people get it completely wrong. They think discipline means punishment, pain, forcing yourself through misery, making life boring and rigid and joyless. That is not discipline, that is torture. And torture does not last. Real discipline is freedom. Think about it. The person who cannot stop checking their phone is not free. They are a slave to a notification. The person who cannot get out of bed is not free. They are a prisoner of their own comfort. The person who knows they should be working but cannot stop scrolling is not free. They are controlled by an algorithm designed by engineers in Silicon Valley who specifically engineered it to hijack their attention. Discipline is the thing that breaks those chains. But why is it so hard? Dr. Walter Mischel at Stanford ran the most famous experiment on discipline ever conducted. The marshmallow test? He put a marshmallow in front of 4-year-old children and told them if they could wait 15 minutes without eating it, they would get 2 marshmallows. Some kids lasted, most did not. But here's the part most people miss about that study. Mischel followed those children for 40 years. The kids who waited, the ones who showed self-control at age 4, had higher SAT scores, lower rates of obesity, better relationships, and higher incomes decades later. One skill, tested at age 4, predicting outcomes 40 years into the future. That is how powerful discipline is. It is not one thing you do, it is the thing underneath everything you do. But here's the good news. Mischel's later research showed that self-control is not a fixed trait. It is a skill. Like a muscle, it can be trained, it can be strengthened. And anyone, at any age, can build it. The children who succeeded in the marshmallow test were not born with more willpower. They used strategies. They looked away from the marshmallow. They sang songs to themselves. They covered their eyes. They did not fight the temptation head-on. They redirected their attention. That distinction is everything. Because most people try to fight their impulses with brute force. And brute force always loses eventually. The people who win use systems. So if discipline is a skill anyone can learn, why do most people fail at it? You have noticed this in your own life. You set a goal, you start strong, 3 days, maybe a week of perfect execution, and then something breaks. You miss 1 day, then 2. Then you are back where you started, telling yourself the same lie you have told yourself 100 times before. I will start again Monday, but Monday never comes. Not really, here's why. The first reason is that people confuse motivation with discipline. They are not the same thing. Motivation is an emotion. It is the excitement you feel when you watch an inspiring video or set a new goal or buy new running shoes. It feels amazing for about 72 hours. Then it fades, because emotions always fade. Discipline is a system. It works whether you feel motivated or not. It works on the days when your energy is low, your mood is terrible, and every cell in your body is screaming at you to stop. That is when discipline earns its name. The second reason is biological. Your brain is not designed for discipline. It is designed for survival. And survival means conserving energy, avoiding pain, and seeking immediate reward. Every time you face a difficult task, your brain runs a calculation. Effort required versus reward timeline. If the reward is far away, months, years, your brain discounts it. Psychologists call this temporal discounting. The further away a reward is, the less your brain values it compared to something pleasurable right now. That is why scrolling social media for 10 seconds of dopamine feels better in the moment than working on a project that might pay off in 6 months. Your brain is not broken. It is doing exactly what evolution designed it to do. It is just that what evolution designed is terrible for the modern world. The third reason is what psychologists call all or nothing thinking. You set a goal to work out every day. You miss one day. And instead of getting back on track the next morning, you say, well, I already ruined it. Might as well skip the rest of the week. One missed day becomes 7. 7 becomes 30, and the goal dies. James Clear, who wrote Atomic Habits, has a rule for this. Never miss twice. Missing once is an accident. Missing twice is the beginning of a new habit. The most disciplined people in the world are not perfect. They just never let one bad day become 2. And the fourth reason, the one almost nobody talks about, is identity. If you believe deep down that you are a lazy person, then every disciplined action you take feels like acting. It feels fake, unsustainable, and eventually you revert to the person you believe you are. This is exactly what we learned from Murphy in episode 2. Your subconscious runs 95% of your behavior, and your subconscious takes its instructions from your identity, the story you tell yourself about who you are. If the story says I am not a disciplined person, then no amount of technique will override it. You have to change the story first. Not I need to be more disciplined, but I am someone who follows through. The shift is tiny. The effect is seismic. Now let us get into the mechanics. How do you actually control your mind and your emotions? Picture this. It is 2 in the morning. The city is asleep, but your brain is not. Thoughts are racing. Doubts about the future. Regrets about the past. Anxiety about something that has not even happened yet. And you are lying there, hostage to your own head. This is where most people make a critical mistake. They assume their thoughts are reality. They assume that because they thought something, it must be true. Marcus Aurelius understood this 2,000 years ago. He wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this and you will find strength." And modern psychology has confirmed it. Aaron Beck, the founder of cognitive behavioral therapy, built his entire framework on one insight. You are not upset by events. You are upset by your beliefs about events. Change the belief and the emotion changes with it. But knowing this intellectually and actually doing it in the moment are two completely different things. So here's the practical technique. It is called the observer effect. And it is the single most powerful tool I have ever encountered for emotional control. When a strong emotion hits you, anger, fear, anxiety, the urge to procrastinate, do not react, do not push it away, and do not obey it. Instead, pause 1 second. That is all you need. And in that 1 second, ask yourself this question. What am I feeling right now, and why? That tiny pause does something neurologically significant. It activates your prefrontal cortex, the rational brain, and deactivates the amygdala, the emotional reactor. Dr. Matthew Lieberman at UCLA demonstrated this in brain scans. The simple act of naming an emotion, labeling it, reduces its intensity by up to 50%. You are not suppressing the emotion, you are observing it. And the moment you observe it, you are no longer inside it. You are above it, looking down, choosing your response instead of being hijacked by a reaction. Your mind generates thousands of thoughts per day. Most of them are random, many are negative, and the vast majority are repetitive. The same fears, the same worries, cycling on a loop. But here's the thing, you are not your thoughts, you are the one watching them. Imagine your mind is a radio station playing different channels. Fear, anger, self-doubt, laziness. Most people listen to whatever channel is loudest. But what if you could choose which channel to tune into? That is emotional control. Not eliminating negative thoughts, choosing which ones get your attention. Every time you feel a pull toward distraction, toward giving up, toward doing the easy thing instead of the right thing, that is just a channel playing. You do not have to listen, you do not have to obey. You can notice it, let it play, and choose a different station. This is not willpower. This is awareness. And awareness, unlike willpower, does not run out. Speaking of willpower, let me tell you the truth about it. Because this truth will change your entire strategy. Willpower is not as strong as you think it is. Dr. Roy Baumeister at Florida State University conducted landmark research showing that willpower functions like a battery. Every decision you make during the day drains it. What to wear, what to eat, whether to respond to that email now or later. Each one takes a small charge from the battery. By evening, the battery is low. And that is when you break your own rules, you eat the junk food, you skip the workout. You binge the show instead of doing the work. Not because you're weak, because you're depleted. Baumeister called this ego depletion. And it explains why you're so disciplined in the morning and so undisciplined at night. But here's where it gets interesting. The most disciplined people in the world do not actually use more willpower than everyone else. They use less. How? They design their lives so they do not need willpower. This is the single biggest insight in the entire discipline conversation, and it is the one nobody teaches you. If your workout time is fixed, same time every day, no negotiation, then you do not spend willpower deciding whether to go. You just go. The decision was made once. It never has to be made again. If your phone is in another room while you work, you do not spend willpower resisting the urge to check it. The temptation does not exist. No battle required. If your environment is designed for focus, clean workspace, no distractions, no notifications, then focus is not something you have to fight for. It is the default state. This is what James Clear means when he says you do not rise to the level of your goals. You fall to the level of your systems. Willpower is a backup generator. Systems are the main power grid. If you're running on the backup every day, you will burn out. But if you build the grid properly, you will never need the backup at all. Steve Jobs wore the same outfit every day. Not because he lacked fashion sense, because he refused to waste a single decision on something that did not matter. Every decision saved was willpower preserved for the decisions that did. Barack Obama did the same thing. He wore only gray or blue suits, he said. I'm trying to pare down decisions. I do not want to make decisions about what I am eating or wearing because I have too many other decisions to make. The lesson is simple. Stop fighting yourself. Start designing your environment so the right choice is the easy choice, and the wrong choice requires effort. Now let us talk about the invisible force that is either building your life or quietly destroying it. Your habits. Here is an uncomfortable truth. You are not defined by your goals. You are not defined by your intentions. You're not even defined by what you know. You're defined by what you do repeatedly. Every day, you are casting votes for the person you are becoming. Every time you choose the workout over the couch, that is a vote for the identity of someone who takes care of their body. Every time you choose the work over the distraction, that is a vote for the identity of someone who follows through. And every time you choose comfort over growth, that is a vote too, just in the wrong direction. Charles Duhigg, who wrote The Power of Habit, identified the habit loop that governs all habitual behavior. Trigger, routine, reward. Something happens, a cue. You perform a behavior, the routine, and you receive a payoff, the reward. Your brain remembers this loop, and it automates it. Eventually, you do not even think about it. You just do it. Boredom hits. You pick up your phone, dopamine arrives, loop complete. And every repetition makes the loop stronger and your conscious control weaker. But here's the twist that changes everything. You cannot delete a habit. Your brain does not have an erase button for neural pathways. But you can overwrite one. You keep the same trigger and the same reward, but you replace the routine in between. Boredom hits. Instead of picking up your phone, you pick up a book. Or you write one sentence of the project you have been avoiding. Or you do 10 push-ups. Same trigger, different routine, same reward. A break from boredom, but now it is productive. And here's the critical mistake most people make. They try to change everything at once. Tomorrow I will wake up at 5, meditate, work out, eat clean, read for an hour, and be completely transformed. That lasts exactly 3 days. Real change is boring. It is small. It is one habit at a time, repeated until it becomes automatic, and then adding the next one. Not 5 new habits on January 1st. One new habit in January, one in February, one in March. By December, you have 12 new habits that feel effortless because each one had time to become part of who you are. Remember what Hill taught in episode 1. Persistence is the sustained effort necessary to induce faith. You persist with small actions until the identity shifts. And once the identity shifts, the habits take care of themselves. Now let us talk about the silent killer, procrastination. And I want to be clear about something. If you procrastinate, you're not lazy. You're not broken. You're not weak. You're a human. And your brain is doing exactly what it was designed to do. Dr. Tim Pychyl at Carleton University has spent decades studying procrastination. And his central finding is this: procrastination is not a time management problem. It is an emotion regulation problem. You do not avoid the task because you are lazy. You avoid the task because the task triggers an uncomfortable emotion. Fear, uncertainty, boredom, self-doubt. And your brain's automatic response is to escape that discomfort by doing something that feels good right now. That is why you check your phone when you should be working. Not because the phone is more interesting, because the phone does not make you feel afraid or inadequate. The work does. And every time you escape into the phone, you teach your brain that avoidance works. The discomfort goes away, at least temporarily, and the behavior gets reinforced. But here's what Pychyl also found. The emotion you are avoiding is almost always worse in anticipation than in reality. The task itself is rarely as painful as the dread of doing it. Once you actually start, the fear dissolves within minutes. This is why the single most effective anti-procrastination technique is absurdly simple. Start before you're ready. Do not wait for motivation. Do not wait for the perfect moment. Do not wait until you feel like it. Just start. For 5 minutes. That is it. Tell your brain, I'm only doing this for 5 minutes. Your brain accepts 5 minutes. 5 minutes is not threatening. But once you start, something changes. Momentum kicks in. The prefrontal cortex engages. And more often than not, those 5 minutes become 30, those 30 become an hour. The hardest part is always the first 10 seconds. After that, the resistance breaks. And here's the other half of the equation, your environment. If your phone is next to you while you work, you will check it. That is not a willpower failure. That is physics. A distraction within arm's reach will win against intention every single time. So do not fight it. Remove it. Put the phone in another room. Close the unnecessary tabs. Design your workspace so the only thing available is the work. Cal Newport, who wrote Deep Work, calls this a distraction-free ritual. You do not rely on willpower to focus. You engineer an environment where focus is the only option. Discipline is not about fighting harder. It is about fighting less, by setting up the conditions where the right action is the path of least resistance. So what does this actually look like in practice? Let me give you the daily system. Not theory, not philosophy. The actual structure that makes discipline automatic. First, the night before you go to sleep, write down the single most important task you need to complete tomorrow. Not 5 tasks, not 10, 1. The one that, if you completed it and nothing else, would make the day a success. This eliminates the biggest procrastination trigger, ambiguity. When you wake up knowing exactly what to do, there is no room for confusion. And confusion is where procrastination breeds. Second, the first hour. Do not check your phone for the first 60 minutes of your day. This is not optional. This is the foundation. The moment you check your phone, you hand control of your attention to someone else. An email from your boss, a notification from social media, a news headline designed to trigger anxiety. Your brain is now reactive, responding to other people's priorities instead of your own. That first hour is the only time in your entire day when your mind is completely fresh. Your willpower battery is full, and your focus is at its peak. Use it on your most important work, not on someone else's agenda. Third, work in focused blocks. The Pomodoro technique, 25 minutes of focused work followed by a 5-minute break, is not just a productivity hack, it is neurologically sound. Your brain cannot sustain deep focus for hours without rest, but it can sustain it in short bursts, repeatedly, for an entire day. Francesco Cirillo developed this technique in the 1980s, and it has been validated by decades of research on attention and cognitive performance. The key is not the length of the block. It is the commitment to 0 distractions during the block. No phone, no email, no conversations. Pure focus for a defined period, followed by genuine rest. Fourth, The evening review. At the end of the day, take 2 minutes to answer 2 questions. What did I do well today? And what will I do differently tomorrow? This is not journaling for the sake of journaling. This is the feedback loop that accelerates improvement. Without reflection, you repeat the same mistakes. With it, every day becomes slightly better than the last. Marcus Aurelius did this every night in his tent on the Danube. He called it his evening review. The most powerful man in the world, writing notes to himself about how to be better tomorrow. If it was good enough for a Roman emperor, it is good enough for you. And fifth, the identity statement. Every morning before you start, say one sentence to yourself. Not out loud if that feels strange, silently is fine. But say it. I am someone who follows through. Not I need to be more disciplined. Not I should try harder. Not I hope I do better today. I am someone who follows through. That sentence is not a wish. It is an instruction to your subconscious. And as Murphy taught us in episode 2, your subconscious does not question instructions. It executes them. Feed it the right identity, and it will organize your behavior to match. Now, the honest part. Discipline culture on the internet has a problem. It sells the fantasy that if you just grind hard enough, wake up early enough, suffer enough, everything will work out. Rise and grind. No days off, sleep is for the weak. That is not discipline. That is burnout dressed up as ambition. Real discipline includes rest. Real discipline includes knowing when to push and when to recover. Real discipline includes being honest about your limits instead of pretending you do not have any. The goal is not to become a machine. The goal is to become a person who consistently does what matters and has the wisdom to know what does not. And there is another truth worth saying. Discipline alone does not guarantee success. You can be the most disciplined person in the world and still fail if you're disciplined about the wrong things. Direction matters as much as effort. Make sure the hill you're climbing is the right hill before you sharpen your discipline on it. Let us connect this to everything we have built. 6 episodes, 6 dimensions of the same truth. Hill gave you the goals. The 13 laws that define what to aim for. Murphy gave you the engine, the subconscious programming that runs 95% of your behavior. Byrne gave you the fuel. Emotional visualization that primes your mind for what you want. Marcus Aurelius gave you the foundation. Inner stability when everything falls apart. Green gave you the armor, the understanding of power that protects you in the real world. And now, mental discipline gives you the execution. The daily, mechanical, boring, unsexy ability to do what you said you would do, whether you feel like it or not, without execution. Everything else is theory. Beautiful, inspiring theory that changes nothing. With it, everything compounds. Here is your action for tonight. Take a piece of paper, write down one thing you have been procrastinating on. The one task you keep pushing to tomorrow. Now underneath it, answer 3 questions. What emotion am I avoiding by not doing this task? What is the smallest possible first step I could take in 5 minutes or less? And what will my environment look like tomorrow morning when I sit down to do it? Phone in another room? Workspace clean? Notifications off? Answer those 3 questions. Set up the environment tonight. And tomorrow morning, in your first hour before you check your phone, take that 5-minute step. Not because you feel motivated, not because you feel ready, because you decided. And decision, as Hill taught us in the very first episode, is the starting point of all achievement. Let me leave you with one image. A year from now, there are 2 versions of you. One kept watching videos about discipline, kept saying tomorrow, kept waiting for motivation to arrive like a bus that never comes. That version is standing in the same place with the same habits, the same excuses, and a new stack of regrets. The other version started, not perfectly, not dramatically. They just started. 5 minutes on the first day, then 10, then 20. They built one habit at a time. They designed their environment. They stopped fighting their brain and started working with it. And by the time a year passed, they were someone they did not recognize. Not because of one big moment, because of 365 small ones. Which version will you be? The people who quit this video quit 20 minutes ago. You're still here. And that tells me everything I need to know about where you're going. This has been Minds of Mastery. If one idea from this episode stayed with you, drop it in the comments. I read every single one. Subscribe if you want to keep building. Because next week, we go into the book that turns everything you just learned about discipline into a precise, scientific four-step system, a system so simple that it feels almost unfair. Atomic Habits by James Clear. I will see you there. Until then, build the mind you were meant to have.